To get stronger in calisthenics, you need to train just heavy enough. Too light and you won't train heavy enough to get as strong as possible, and too heavy and you'll be too fatigued to get as strong as possible. So finding the sweet spot is extremely important. But what is the sweet spot? That's what I'm going to discuss in this video. But first, let's define two different types of strength. The first type of strength is called limit strength, which is best trained by doing hard sets of 1 to 3 reps. By hard sets, I mean sets where you give at least 70% of your max effort. So whenever I say the phrase hard set, that's what I mean. This is the strength that you see powerlifters and street lifters show off when they're lifting very heavy weights for only 1 rep, which is called doing a 1 rep max. If we're talking about doing calisthenics skills, this would be doing a skill that you can barely hold for 2 to 6 seconds. Limit strength training lets you get really good at doing 1 rep maxes, but it's not as good for improving your strength overall as the second type of strength training, basic strength training, which is done by doing hard sets of 3 to 6 reps or 6 to 12 second holds for isometrics. Although it's not as heavy as limit strength training, it lets you improve your strength the most because it still lets you train heavy, but with enough reps to make the volume and total strength stimulus higher. To illustrate this, imagine that you did 3 sets of very hard singles, which would result in 3 total reps. Each one of those reps was very stimulative because it was essentially your 1 rep max, but there was only 3 of them, so the stimulus isn't that high. Contrast this with doing 3 hard sets of 5 reps. This would result in 15 total reps, so instead of getting 3 units of stimulus, you got 15, making the total stimulus much higher. Although each rep in a set of 5 may be only 1/3 as effective as a single, it still means that you got 5 units of stimulus instead of 3, making the workout almost twice as effective. On top of that, while sets of 3 to 6 are more stimulative than sets of 1 to 3, they aren't more fatiguing, which means that their stimulus to fatigue ratio is higher. So if your goal is to become as strong as possible, sets of 3 to 6 will almost always be a better choice for you. But what about the number 1 strength training principle, specificity? If my goal is to improve my 1 rep max, isn't doing 1 rep maxes a better way to train since it's more specific? If you're just looking from the viewpoint of specificity, then yeah, doing 1 rep maxes is the best way to improve your 1 rep max since it's the most specific way to train it. But don't forget about what I just explained. While sets of 3 to 6 aren't as specific for improving your 1 rep max as sets of 1 to 3, their stimulus to fatigue ratio is so much better that it makes up for the lack of specificity. But don't get me wrong, this doesn't mean that limit strength training is completely useless. Basic strength training makes you the strongest, but at some point you have to show off that strength, which is where limit strength training comes in. It lets you practice with ultra heavy weights, tooling your expression of basic strength into a great peak performance. If you show up to a powerlifting or streetlifting competition having never practiced your 1 rep max, you won't be able to give your best effort because you literally have never lifted so much weight before. Neither your mind nor your body will be ready to lift so much weight. So if you truly want to test the strength that you built in the 3 to 6 rep range, you have to train in the 1 to 3 rep range for some time first. For example, elite powerlifters train mostly in the 3 to 6 rep range to build overall strength, and as the competition approaches, they decrease the volume and increase the intensity by switching to the 1 to 3 rep range, which is called the peaking phase, to get their mind and body ready for lifting extremely heavy weights. This is why you shouldn't take 1 rep max calculators too seriously if you haven't actually tested your 1 rep max yourself. Even if the calculator says that you can lift X amount of weight, you might not be able to because you just don't feel comfortable doing so, which is why peaking phase is necessary before competing. To be honest, I don't really see how limit strength training applies to calisthenics besides street lifting, so if your goal isn't a 100 kg pull-up or dip, I wouldn't recommend training in the 1 to 3 rep range almost at all. Now that we understand the 2 types of strength, let's talk about 2 special cases where you need to train a bit lighter: hypertrophy and technical work. Hypertrophy work means training to make your muscles bigger instead of stronger. You might say that you don't want to have big muscles and you only care about strength, but you can't escape the fact that the size of a muscle determines how much force it can apply, which means that the bigger a muscle is, the stronger you can make it. Notice how I said the stronger you can make it, not the stronger it is. That's because strength consists of neural adaptations and muscle size, so a big muscle is only half of the equation. You also need to train the muscle heavy to make it strong. So to get as strong as possible, you should grow muscle first and only then strengthen it, because trying to become stronger without building any muscle is like trying to pour a gallon of water in a small cup. You're going to waste most of the water, so the best thing you can do to not waste any water is to get a whole bucket first. Hypertrophy work is best done in the 6 to 12 rep range, and I'd recommend you to use compound exercises such as push-ups, bike push-ups, dips, pull-ups, and bodyweight rows. For example, if you want to get good at the planche, you should build your front delts first with bike push-ups, dips, and push-ups. Or if you want to get good at the front lever, you should first build your lats with pull-ups and bodyweight rows. If your front delts and lats are tiny, planche and front lever work won't be as beneficial as if you had built some muscle beforehand. Technical work is very low-intensity work that just focuses on improving your technique in a given exercise, and if you're looking to get as strong as possible, it's very beneficial to do it because the better your technique is, the more strength you can exert. By technical work, I mean technique-only sessions that are done between hard strength sessions, and they look like this: 2 to 3 sets of 3 to 6 reps at RPE of 3 to 6. For example, if you were to do an advanced tuck planche and your max hold was 20 seconds, you would do 2 to 3 sets of 6 to 12 seconds. Technical work is so important because if you're improving your technique, you're essentially getting stronger, and it's also also much less fatiguing than strength work, which means that you can do it more often. To illustrate this, imagine that you're training planche 3 times a week. You're getting stronger, but you want to get stronger faster, so you add another planche session. You try this out for a couple of weeks and realize that the 4th planche session was too much and you weren't able to recover. So you take it out and replace it with a technique-only session. Your strength suddenly skyrockets because you're getting the same amount of technique work as before, just without the added fatigue of the 4th session. The sad thing is that a lot of people miss these technical gains because they believe that they either have to train hard or not train at all, which is mostly just due to ignorance. So in this video, let's summarize everything we just talked about. Firstly, there's 2 types of strength: limit strength and basic strength. Limit strength is best trained by doing hard sets of 1 to 3 reps, while basic strength is best trained by doing hard sets of 3 to 6 reps. Basic strength training is how you get stronger, while limit strength training is how you get good at showing off your strength. Secondly, the 6 to 12 rep range should be used to build muscle that you can strengthen later. And thirdly, to get as strong as possible, you should incorporate technique work in your routine, which is done by doing easy sets of 3 to 6 reps. I really hope that you got something out of this video, and if you did, I would really appreciate it if you left a like, subscribe to my channel, and comment down below any future video ideas that I should consider. And have an awesome day. Peace!